Things could get pretty wild for crypto over the next couple of days, and here is exactly why. So the long story short is that there are going to be a couple of different meetings or decisions made over the next couple of days in the traditional financial markets that could reflect back upon crypto like they've done many times in the past. Even though we're not 1000% sure what decision outcomes are going to be had, what the outcomes are going to be, or whether or not they'll be very important at all, we know that there are going to be a couple of meetings that usually result in a lot of volatility. And so you need to be aware of this. You need to be prepared because the moment that it strikes, usually there's a good money-making opportunity attached to it. Now, guys, understand that whenever we talk about these situations, it's pretty damn risky. But if you execute the plan well, usually it pops off like crazy, does exceedingly well. And let's get right into it. So make sure you press that like button if you enjoy the quick updates and, well, take a look. Well, there are a multitude of different reasons why these meetings that I'm talking about here have an effect on crypto prices. Even though these are traditional financial market decisions, like for example, tomorrow for me in Dubai here, but for a lot of you guys, it's going to be the day after tomorrow on Monday. We have ourselves a couple of different Fed speeches. You can see on the 10th of October 2022, 1 p.m. Fed Evans speech. Then a couple hours afterwards, 5:35 p.m. Fed Brenner speech. And then a day afterwards at 3:30 p.m. Fed Harker speech. Now, regardless of whether or not you think that these speeches are going to have some sort of crazy effects, to be honest, it is still yet to be seen what they're going to do. I recommend you guys to check out Trading Economics, I think that's what the website is called, just to kind of see what different announcements come out what different day, because very often, things like, for example, this unemployment rate over in the UK, will have some sort of effect on, well, traditional financial markets and thus also for crypto. In that list, you can also see, if we keep scrolling, that, well, there are going to be a couple of other very important US informational pieces coming out over the next couple of days. Over on the 12th, 10 p.m., we have ourselves FOMC minutes, which I always go for, or I guess check out, together with another Fed speech. But most important is actually the 13th at 4:30 p.m., as then we're going to get our inflation numbers and the, future expectations of inflation over in the US of A. And this, as you guys know, usually is quite a roller coaster for the entire crypto market, as inflation, I would say, literally ties into the crypto market for the reason that, well, people are buying cryptocurrencies as a hedge against traditional fiat inflation. By now, you guys probably know that buying crypto is pretty risky in the sense that there's a very, very high upside, which I personally prefer to look at, the upside, but there's also this potential downside of your money going down 50, 60% over the next couple of months and it not recovering for a little while. It is just there. Having said that, is crypto really riskier than stocks? And risk, volatility, we consider that the same thing here. It's kind of funny to see this article right here. The Dow Jones, which hopefully you guys all know, is now officially more volatile than Bitcoin. What? So in recent months, Bitcoin has traded in tandem with stocks, with both asset classes battling prevailing macroeconomic factors led by skyrocketing inflation and interest rate hikes. However, Bitcoin's volatility appears to cool down compared to traditional stocks as the flagship crypto shows signs of decoupling from equities. Now, in particular, as of October 7th, the Dow Jones index that tracks the 30 largest industrial stocks was more volatile than Bitcoin, data shared by Zero Hedge indicates. So when taking a look at volatility, you can actually see that indeed at some point here, the Dow Jones has indeed been more volatile than Bitcoin has. Little mistake right here in the wording. It's supposed to be chart. A little, pay attention to the details sometimes. But apparently, Bitcoin's latest achievement highlights the asset's maturing nature, considering it has been classified among the most volatile investments. Notably, proponents have maintained that once Bitcoin matures, characterized by increased adoption, the asset will be less volatile and trade like traditional assets. It's honestly quite crazy to just look at the after hours, for example, of the S&P and NASDAQ. I believe it's Saturday, right? Or Sunday even now. Man, if you're in crypto, you start to forget days because they don't matter, For me, a Monday and a Sunday are the exact same thing. In Dubai, it's also a little bit different because Friday and Saturday are the weekend, so that completely messes my brain up. But just look at these daunting numbers, where Bitcoin as of this point is actually the one being pretty chill at minus 0.32, with the S&P and NASDAQ, even though it is on a Saturday, still locking in at -3% and -4% respectively. Just to make it clear, however, Bitcoin still is poised for some sort of breakout. We're all watching it happen right now in real time. It's been a little while since Bitcoin broke out of its zone between $21.7 thousand and was dying there a little bit, took a little bit of water again, and $17.7 thousand, basically the lowest point that we saw a couple of months ago already. And we have a couple of small local highs right here, but no real substance to any of these moves. You can see, however, that even if you go towards a weekly perspective, that Bitcoin might actually start to break the downtrend that we've had for months and months and months now. But honestly, it just depends on what time frame you look at it from and how you're putting these trend lines in this sense here. Because this is one of those times where I'm thinking, man, it really, if you look at it from a daily perspective and you draw these lines in, from that perspective, we've broken through. If you look at it from a weekly perspective, though, we really haven't. And then again, we've also been below this 200 weekly moving average for so ridiculously long. It is crazy. You can see we had a couple of small little upsides here over in August and a little bit at the end of July, but generally speaking, right now, Bitcoin is extremely cheap to buy. Same thing following the RSI. The best point to buy was June 13th, or basically the week of the lowest point. I hope that it was actually in screen. I might have moved and I might have not had my face in screen. I'm sorry for that. I wanted to say Bitcoin, in my own opinion, has been ranging mostly between that 21.7 and I'm going to set as a far bottom $17.7 thousand as a bottom, even though logically, and I think you guys can all see that the bottom lies a little bit higher than that, as we've basically been trading within this range for so ridiculously long, right? Then again, there's a very good probability that one of these days we're going to see some sort of crazy breakout. We're basically poised for it as of this point. That does not mean that the breakout will last for a very long time, as we've had to keep shoving this line over and over and over for the last couple of weeks already. But at some point, people are going to want a relief rally, and it could be that the moment that inflation now hits again, with potentially a crazy high number, that people will start to flock like crazy towards Bitcoin. I know it's a little bit of wishful thinking, but maybe at some point people are going to be done with all these bogus inflation numbers as well. People really can't keep up. Over in Europe, the gas prices are getting too wild. Things are getting too insane. You can read right here, inflation is very stressful for almost half of US households. It's so many people that are just absolutely destroyed because of the situation right now. At some point, maybe Bitcoin has to catch up with a lot of this grief that's basically happening in the back end of things because stocks are not reacting properly, I would say. So yeah, be prepared for something crazy happening over the next couple of days. Then again, it could be in the exact opposite direction if things go wrong, depending on what inflation numbers come out. You can already see that the expected inflation is going to be lower than the previous inflation that we've had. And depending on what the actual number is, which we'll talk about in a couple of days from now, the markets are most likely going to act bullish or bearish, but I'll cover that later. Having said that though, what a crazy week it has been and what a crazy week it's going to be. For all my XRP holders out there, damn, things are doing nice. Same thing for XLM, same thing for QNT. And honestly, things are starting to move for crypto in terms of the regulatory front, even though many spearheads in crypto are saying that regulation is not moving at all. I personally think we're taking some very big steps as this lawsuit is coming to a close, piece by piece by piece, and that's ultimately going to be very bullish for the majority of altcoins out there. What is the reaction for Bitcoin going to be? That I cannot say. That for me is very, very hard to fetch or give any crazy opinions on. But what I do know is that things are looking very, very good right now for the crypto market, unless we get some more very heavy pressure in terms of a recession or the dollar weakening. Because even though all these things in theory are very bullish for Bitcoin, it's not acted that way thus far. And as I said before in a couple of my videos as well, it might still take some time before Bitcoin really matures to that level where it can act in such an inverse way, which is the most logical. We might have to wait a little bit more for that. But then again, we shall see. I have a little blanket right here, you know? It is Dubai, it is crazy freaking hot, and I am having a blanket and usually wear a hoodie in my home. Why? Well, because sometimes my AC goes wild and it goes to 16 degrees. Right now, however, I am very, very cold at 22 degrees, which is interesting. That's what you get when it's sometimes almost 40 degrees outside, huh? Doesn't matter, whatever. See you guys again in another crypto video later, guys. Make sure you press the like button if you enjoyed it. See you guys, and yeah.